Welcome to Always Honest, where two friends unpack the beauty and chaos of faith, family, and everything in between, one honest conversation at a time. Welcome back to Always Honest. Today we are talking about the challenges of building adult friendships and the value of a strong support system. So let's get real about making connections in a busy season of life.
Yeah.
So mood check, Madeline, where are you on a scale of rainbows and sunshine to clouds rolling in?
I feel like partly sunny would describe it. I feel like, I don't know if you ever feel like this, but like you have equal things that are like possibly making you nervous and like that you could stress about, but then equal things that like are good and exciting. And so that's kind of how I feel like. I got some not so great dentist news this week and I need some intensive work, and that just like is one of my worst things I could hear on the phone. So that I could focus on that, but I'm also super excited. We're getting closer to our garden where I have a friend that's going to give me some sourdough and I'm going to try sourdough bread. And so I'm excited for some things.
Becoming a homesteader.
You know, I'm trying, but I don't think I have a green thumb and I've never made sourdoughs. So, and it's so intimidating. Like, and people are like, oh, it's so intimidating, but you can do it. And I'm like, I don't know. We'll find out. But I just think it's so, like, I enjoy those things. It's just wholesome feeling and like, I don't know. It just sounds fun. So I'm going to try.
Yeah.
So there's things I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
But then things that I'm, like in parenting or different things where I'm like, that's kind of always in the back of my head of like things I could stress about. But life is good. Spring is coming. We're like, I don't know how many days away from spring now, but not too far. And I'm like, oh, praise God. So I feel like there's fun stuff coming, but it's life too. So,
right.
What about you? Where are you at from rainbows and sunshine to the clouds rolling in?
Yeah, I think, partly cloudy, maybe, because for sure the weather just makes me feel like so hopeful. Like I can see little green sprigs on the trees, and when I see the little flowers popping up, it just makes me so excited. I love spring. Fall used to be my favorite, but like spring is now my favorite. And I don't know if it's a Washington thing because we come out of the gray and it's like life, come back to life.
Literally.
Like, so I love spring.
Yeah. For sure. Cool.
And the frogs croaking at night.
Oh, I know. I've told you that. Like, I just think it's so peaceful. But then I can't open my window to listen to them because I have giant stink bugs on my screen. Yes. And so I like, okay, don't want you in my bedroom. So it's just
Or the frogs. You don't want the frogs.
Definitely not. We had a frog in our house the other day. We have a lot of frogs around our house. I don't really know why.
Yeah.
But they get in and they just, thankfully it's not happened when Scott's gone yet because I can tell you I'm not touching a frog.
Yeah.
Like, I would be calling you because I'm not doing it. So, thankfully I've never had to do it by myself, but I don't do frogs. I don't do bugs.
Yeah.
I don't do many living things.
It feels like spring. When I was leaving your house the other day, there were two little ducks waddling on the street.
On the street near us? Oh, funny. Our neighbor has ducks.
Oh, like pet ducks?
Yeah.
Or like ducks that come visit?
No, they have a bunch of ducks.
Oh.
No, maybe they have swans. I don't know. They have birds.
Yeah, there were two little ducks waddling down the street.
Cute.
And then further down that way, a rabbit like ran across the road. And it just felt
like a little springbok.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for when the rabbits get in my garden, then it won't be cute.
No, because I was thinking it's like Peter Rabbit, but then that makes us like Mr. McGregor. Yeah, like get out of my garden.
I've never read that book.
You never read Peter Rabbit?
No.
Really?
Isn't that horrible? I have children too.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive in. We're going to start with a question. I'm curious your thoughts. Why does it seem like on social media everyone's friendships are easy and everyone's just thriving in that area when maybe in reality friendships can feel really hard in our own lives?
Yeah. Well, I do think that adult friendships are difficult, and I think that if anyone's experiencing that they're not alone in that. I think it's a common problem for adults. And in fact, did you know that the percentage of Americans with 10 close friends dropped from 33% in 1990 to 13% in 2021?
Wow.
So it's decreasing. Like we're becoming more isolated. So, people aren't imagining it, but even just as adults in general, we are spread out. like we're not organically meeting
Mhm.
up.
Mhm.
We are in our own homes, in our own
Mhm.
lives, driving to, sports and jobs,
Mhm.
and so it can be difficult because we don't have those interactions. I also think that when you see things online, of course, a lot of it is the highlights.
Mhm.
We all share our highlights. Why would you share a moment when you're like falling apart? I mean, some people share that too, but
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
there's a balance. But
Mhm.
I personally love looking through my feed and seeing all the positive stuff because
Mm.
it literally changes my perspective of like my life.
Oh, wow.
Like
Mhm.
I'll look back at like last year and I'm like, maybe it wasn't so bad because I see
Mm.
all the good
Mhm.
stuff. But anyway, so sharing highlights, that can be a part of why it
Mhm.
seems like they have everything.
Mhm.
And then I also just think I think I have a different perspective than most people because a lot of people will just say, oh, it's not real. They're just showing you all the happy stuff.
Mhm.
But I think some people do have the blessing of
Mm.
friendship and some people just don't. And
Yeah.
that for me to be able to deal with that, I think you have to leave room for grief
Mm. Mhm.
and
Mhm.
instead of denial.
Leah, tell me about a time where you've struggled to find community.
I've always community has just been something that I've always longed for.
Mhm.
Maybe as an Enneagram 2, I'm a relational kind of person,
Mhm.
and relationships are just on my radar.
Mm.
They're not on everyone's radar, but it's just something that is it's just the way I'm wired. So I've
Mhm.
always longed for community. I've always loved going to camp, and
Mhm.
that was how I met my husband, was being
Mhm.
camp counselors. And I even wanted to like live on a commune because I'm like, I
Mm.
just love the idea of doing life together, that you have somebody that like, you can just go say, do you have any eggs,
Yeah.
or like, can you watch my kid while I go to the store,
Yeah.
just on a whim. So I've always loved the idea of that, and I just feel like God has always been like, no,
Mm.
like for one
Mhm.
reason or another it just hasn't worked out, just the
Mhm.
timing of it. We moved, or friends moved,
Mhm.
and so we've never really had that community.
Mhm.
But I'm working on building it now, and we'll get into that. But so a time when I struggled, a way that we struggled to build community is because our church proximity, we aren't
Mhm.
physically close to our
Mhm.
friends that we go to church with, because our church has been like over 35 minutes away from us, but we love it. We love the people, and
Mhm.
but we can't do life together because we're so far apart
Yeah.
physically.
Mhm.
So I think geographic location is one of those things that really impacts adult friendships and
Mhm.
building community.
Mhm. Do you feel like movies or social media or anything like create a bit of a more like a bit of a fantasy of these like a commune, like asking your neighbor if they have eggs, those sorts of things? Do you think that's a reality for a lot of people, or do you think that's like a something that they make look really fun on like TV and stuff?
Yeah, I think both. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, TV is filled with it. There's always
Mhm.
the neighbor that just pops in.
Yeah.
There's the aunt that just randomly lives with them, or the
Yeah.
uncle and, grandma. There's always like some extra family. But I think that is some people's reality.
True. Yeah.
Everyone's culture is different. I mean, even within
Mhm.
America, there's different subcultures that
Mhm.
have that everyone lives in the same house, or
Yeah.
everyone, family is so important to them that they
Yeah.
stick together. And some people are just more hospitable.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I want community, I'm not the most hospitable
Yes, you
person.
are. Yes, you are.
So
You're great at
yeah.
hosting.
Oh, thanks.
I You have one of those houses. I'll just throw this in there, a little compliment. You have one of those houses where you don't want to leave. Like you're like,
Oh,
I'm like, can I invite myself over? Like, can
yes,
I
you
just pop in?
can.
Like, I love being at
You
your
can
house.
see
It's
where I'm
so
telling you. I just want you to pop in.
okay, great. Um, yeah, no, I love when people come for dinner or when we're going somewhere for dinner. I like being around people. And if like there are those times where I'm like, okay, we just need a chill evening, and like it's nice to just like not be around extra people. But it's just funny because I think there's people that like a commune is like their biggest nightmare of like, I don't want anyone asking me for eggs. Like, no, like I want to live in the middle of nowhere with nobody. And then there's people that are like, I want to live with I want my grandma right there and my mom right here, and my friend, and I'm that way too. Like, I mean, anyone that knows me knows that. Like, I just want everyone close, and so I totally hear you. And
Strangely,
um,
I'm both.
Yeah. Okay.
I
That makes
When
sense.
we lived in DuPont, DuPont has like house.
Mm-hmm.
I got really overwhelmed, like
Mm-hmm.
overstimulated by the amount of people that would stop by.
Okay.
So I know I
Yeah.
just can't be happy.
Well, I think maybe like would you, because we both like having like living in a home with some space. So it's like
Hmm.
maybe if everyone had a chunk of land where it's like I don't know,
I know.
this perfect scenario, I guess that's not
Exactly.
happening.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
know when I watch Gilmore Girls, it's just my favorite show. Lorelai lives right next door to her neighbors, and they come over and check on the cat, or she got a dog or whatever, and it's like, oh, that's so nice, just having a. We moved from a place where we had neighbors, and now we don't have close neighbors. But I'm enjoying that season of like not having close neighbors, but I want my friends to live close. I want my
Yeah.
family to live close,
Yeah.
like those sorts of things. So,
Yeah. I
anyways,
know. We wanted you guys to move into our neighborhood.
I know I was like hoping something would come up
Yeah.
for
I
sale, but
know.
God
Yeah.
knows best, I guess. I don't. We're like 3 minutes from driveway to drive. The start of your street is like 3 minutes from my house, so I feel like it's
3 minutes,
3 minutes.
really?
I can get to your house. I mean,
You're
I do drive
fast.
fast, but we can get to your house. Yeah, like not your house, but like I feel like I'm at your house when I'm in your neighborhood. I'm not
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
pet all of
You're
a sudden
there.
there,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
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 Anyways,
It's funny because I can't say reading, listening to a book,
mm,
and she was telling a story about how she had this great neighborhood and these really good friends that didn't live in the neighborhood, and they were really envious of her close friends in her neighborhood.
mm-hmm,
So that family actually moved into the neighborhood,
mm,
and you would think it's going to be perfect. Now our good friends are with our other friends, but it blew up, and like then these friends were all really close, and that family became isolated because they were
mm,
like a few houses down,
yeah,
and so it was more natural for these friends to get together on the
yeah,
other cul-de-sac or whatever.
yeah,
But it's just funny how it goes. You think something is
yeah,
going to be
yeah,
great, and it just doesn't
yeah.
doesn't always work out. But
True. Yeah.
so what would you say is the emotional impact of being isolated or lonely or lacking community?
Mm, I think it can be a huge impact. Without going into too much COVID stuff, because I know that can be such a sensitive topic. But I think it was very obvious around COVID where when I look back, it makes me mad. It honestly because the we were scared, so scared to be around anyone in the beginning. It was like so you isolated and you did what you thought was best, and and um although there was times where yes you don't want to go around someone sick, like I get all of that, but you can't deny the statistics of depression, anxiety, suicide all going up throughout that year and the year after or whatever.
Well, it's even
um
linked to like cardiovascular health and mental decline.
wow, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think if you believe in creation, how we were created, I mean, God literally created Eve because he looked at Adam and was like, "You are not supposed to be alone. Like you're." And so, yes, there's times for being alone, and you know, alone time can be healthy and good. But as far as trying to go through life without community or friends, I mean, it's just I don't know. It would just be really hard, I think, and it's hard. I have found it hard to have community sometimes, like when you're going through hard stuff, because you often feel like maybe you don't want to burden people with like your reality of life, like because maybe everyone else in your life looks like life is just going super great and smooth, and so you feel like, well, I'm really struggling, and who wants to hang out with me? I don't know. I have felt like that sometimes, but um that was not the question. Getting totally okay. Back to the emotional thing though. Yeah, I think it is so important. It is so important to be around people, and again, there might be a time to isolate. There might be a time to be alone and whatever, but um, there is no denying we are meant to be with people and community. I mean, look at the church and look what God calls us to join and worship together. And there's a time to worship in quiet and in private, and pray in private. But it's equally as important to be with people. And someone that has dealt with social anxiety, that also can be really challenging because you have a longing for community, but maybe your brain is like freaking out in a social setting. And so it makes it really hard to lean into those things that you crave but you experience these, anxiety in those moments. So, um, working through all of that, you just, I don't know, finding people that I think a community that you can be your authentic self with, though, too, through the hard, through the good. Like I appreciate the fact that I can come to your house and I don't have to put on like a I'm having a wonderful day and everything's perfect. Like I can just say like, man, it's been a rough day or whatever, and we don't have to like stay there, but like I don't know, just friends you
Yeah.
can be genuine with. And
Hmm.
but yeah, community is so important. And I don't know what you think about this though. Like, would you rather have two good quality friends or 10 friends that maybe you have a larger group of friends, but maybe you don't go as deep with them? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Guess.
The deep.
Yeah.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, when I was a kid, I was like collecting friends. Like I
sure.
would write down all the people that I hung out with in my journal. It's
Mm,
like
hmm.
numbers, but yeah, now it's about
Yeah.
quality. Yeah, because of that.
Yeah. And back to social media, I think it can be hard because I know I've seen people like with these big group, big friend groups, and it's like 20 girls and they're having pajama parties as adults. And it's like, that's adorable. Like, that's so fun. But it's also okay if friendship for you looks like a few really good friends. And, it's going to look different for everybody what community is. I don't think it's one thing and we have to just like, okay, well, I don't have that yet, so I'm not there yet. It's like maybe your community looks like three great friends that you can call at 12 a.m. because you're upset, or, I don't know. I, yeah,
Right. There can be a pressure if you see other people with a lot of friends that, oh, there's something wrong with me if I
yeah,
don't hang out in those types of circles.
mm-hmm,
But yeah, taking stock in like, do I actually want that? Do I
yeah,
do I want those social
yeah,
scenarios? And yeah, that may not be what fills your cup,
mm-hmm,
but we all long for a sense of community, but it
yeah,
might look different for everybody, like you're
yeah,
saying. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think a healthy and real support system looks like?
Hmm. Okay. I would say people who can deal with the ugly.
Mm,
Yeah, and I mean, real,
yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
and that means when you're having difficulty in your marriage or with your kids that you
mm-hmm,
can be totally honest
yeah,
about your flaws and mistakes that you've made and say, "Help, I don't know what I'm doing."
yeah,
And so I think that's a really important aspect of a real community. And part of that might be, I think personally, some professional help.
mm,
A good
mm-hmm,
support system would be a good counselor, like we talked about in another episode.
yeah,
But somebody that you can be totally honest with
mm-hmm,
is an objective outside party. I
yeah,
think that is a really important part of a healthy
mm-hmm,
support system.
mm-hmm,
People who are above you that you look up to in some way, whether it's a mentor or a teacher
mm-hmm,
or something. I think that we have to have somebody above us. I
yeah,
just think
mm-hmm.
we're
Like
meant.
further along in their faith and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
mm-hmm,
Something to strive for, somebody
mm-hmm,
for um, accountability or
yeah.
something. Yeah, something to look that you look up to.
I want to ask you, have you ever had to like say goodbye to a friend? Have you ever had to cut off an unhealthy friendship?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I actually, because I am a people pleaser, a lot of my friendships were about wanting to be liked. And so I essentially wanted everyone to like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I talked about this, but I had to admit to myself at a certain point, I don't enjoy that friendship.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so it felt mean to admit that, but I wrote down at a certain point, like people that I enjoy and
Mm-hmm.
people that I
Mm,
don't so
yeah.
much. And because it helped me to know who to invest in because I
Yeah.
felt so scattered
Yeah.
and like I'm, just giving to everybody, but
Mm-hmm.
nothing was, you know, a, like a strong,
Mm-hmm.
healthy connection. It's just like I was so spread thin. So I had to admit to myself, um, I want these people to like me for some reason, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't enjoy them. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to let that go. And,
Mm-hmm.
not texting and not being mean, but like
Yeah.
sometimes you're the one who's always reaching out, and just
Mhm.
realizing they're not really reaching out to me, and
Yeah.
that's okay because I don't enjoy it. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, letting those go and being
Yeah.
like, I really enjoy this one. That sounds bad. I really enjoy
No,
this friend.
it's reality.
Well, and
Mhm.
it can be different seasons,
Yeah.
and it can be, it's not like a personality thing, but it's like, I am really enjoying what we're connecting on
Mhm.
right now. And like, I need this person, like, I
Mhm.
need their input or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so like intentionally deciding I'm going to invest in this person,
Mhm.
and reach out to them and build that
Mhm.
friendship
Mhm.
and let the other ones go. So,
Yeah,
what
for
about
sure.
you?
I was thinking, I don't think I actually have like
Hmm.
had to I haven't had to like cut off a friendship that I was like, this is harming me. Like
Oh,
this
yeah.
is
Mm.
unhealthy. Like I I've been very blessed with good friends, and but I there's definitely been reality of like, you know, realizing maybe that like someone else has moved on from me, if that makes sense. I don't know, I've definitely felt like, okay, I just don't hear from this person anymore. Like that's okay. And
Right.
then again coming back to that confidence of like, I know they still love me. It's
Hmm.
just, you know, we can't be everyone's priority all the time. So
Right.
that's where I've had to just remain like, right now this friendship looks like that. Right now this friendship looks like this. Um and friendships are a beautiful part of life, but I mean, you know, they're not the only part of life, I
Hmm.
guess.
Yeah, I've
It's
heard it described. This really helped me in my view of friendships because, well, I used to think I used to have this idealistic view of what friendships should
Mhm.
be. We
Mhm.
should have a history together.
Mm.
We should resolve our conflicts. We should laugh together, cry together,
Yeah.
be in each other's wedding. And I didn't
Mm.
have
Mhm.
that, so it felt inadequate. But somebody explained to me that friendships can be like spokes on a wheel,
Mm.
and the parallel kind of breaks down because imagine the spokes are like strings that you pull some in for a time and then you let some go for a
Mm.
time,
Mhm.
or maybe, for good, but they may come back. You never know.
Yeah.
So that really helped me
Yeah.
to be okay with, not talking to someone for a while. It doesn't mean I don't care about them, but we're
Yeah.
just not in touch.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
What are some practical tips that you could share for building meaningful relationships?
I like what you said about being intentional. We can't sit around and wait for maybe the friend to reach out to us all the time. I think just I think being intentional with that person and texting them, and because I know for me, I often like will think of like, oh, I should ask them how their day was or how this went, but then you don't. And so really taking the time to pause what you're doing and message that person or call that person and say, how did this go? Like making sure your friends know you're thinking about them. I personally love to like feed people. So like having someone for dinner, or, I'm just getting together with people, and um, I think is a way, or maybe ask yourself how you can serve that friend. Like, if you notice your friends or they could really use a date night, like offer to watch their children. This is something that I do not do. I need to, like, I'm preaching to myself, but like I've thought about this recently, like just like asking to watch their kids so they can go on a date night, or not everyone has parents that live nearby that I don't know. Yeah, serving them in some way, or um dropping something at their door. I don't know, just like making them feel like thought of. I like to feel like people are thinking about me. So, um those are just a couple of ways, I guess. Yeah. What about you?
Um, well, let's see. What it reminded me of is somewhere I read or heard that it might have been Marie Kondo's book. I don't know. But
Mm.
if having a neat house is really important to you, instead of telling your whole family, you clean up, you make this your priority, you know, that's a mess, clean up. Anyway, just repeating myself. If it's important to you,
Mm.
you clean it up.
Mm.
Because if it
Mm.
helps your sanity, like for me,
Yeah.
my kids could care less if stuff is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I want to teach them to clean up after themselves,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes I go, I'm going to clean this up because it bothers me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so what am I getting at? The point is, I think if you're going to reach out to friends, don't do it with the expectation that they're going to reciprocate, because
Yeah.
they may not.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's meaningful to you and you want to reach out to them and you want to cook for them and you want to send them a card
Mm-hmm.
because that's meaningful to you, then do that. But yeah,
Yeah.
without the expectation that this is what they want.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I mean, we want to bless them, but we just want to be careful about not expecting something in return,
Yeah.
because that can set us up for hurt
Yeah.
and disappointment.
Yeah, for sure. Love it.
What thoughts do you have on the role of grace and forgiveness in friendship?
I mean, I think if we're going to have any relationship, we have to have grace and forgiveness, right? Because people are going to let you down. Whether it's a spouse or a friendship or a child or a parent, or, I mean, you know, not having not having expectations that are just unreasonable, I guess. And but I think sometimes when I have a hard time maybe forgiving someone or giving them grace is reminding myself that they've had to give it to me. Like that I have messed up multiple times or not shown up for that person, or and so if I want them to give me grace and forgiveness, I need to give it back to them. And I think it was said that a marriage consists of two good forgivers, but I think again with any relationship, it's like just walking through life together and giving them constant grace. And if there's something on your heart that's like, I have to bring, like, this is bothering me to the, I need to bring this up with you, having that conversation. But those little things where it's like, that kind of bugged me or whatever, like asking yourself, can I just let this go? Can I give that person grace? Is this detrimental to our, friendship? And yeah, I think it's a pivotal um, thing to have in any relationship.
Yeah, maybe if there are things that whenever that topic gets brought up,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's COVID or something,
Yeah.
like you just don't go there with that
Yeah.
friend, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because again, going back to like my ideal, I would have thought that friendships have to be, perfect on every level. We
Mm-hmm.
agree on everything. We work through things, but
Mm-hmm.
there might be just some things that you realize we don't see eye to eye, but we
Mm-hmm.
enjoy each other in this
Yeah.
way, and that's okay.
Yeah.
What if a friend doesn't invite you to dinner, but they invite, a couple of other friends?
Mm. It's hard. And again, I think you have to ask yourself, is this worth me bringing up? Like, because sometimes you have to go there. Sometimes you have to go do the uncomfortable conversation and say, this hurt me and I want to know why. I want to know why I wasn't invited. Um, but then most of the time, I think we have to look at the situation and remain confident. I think I've said it, in who we are.
And in your friendship.
Yeah. And so you're probably going to say this, I don't want to take it from you, but you have said, let them so much to me regarding kids, a friend. If your friends are going to go do this without you, let them, I don't know about you, but I never ever want to be invited to something because they feel like they have to, or because, oh, Madeline's going to get mad, or so I got to, like, no, I want them to actually want my presence there. So if they chose not to invite me, like, I mean, you lost out on, no, just kidding. Like,
Your
yeah,
loss.
you're lost. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, just like, because the enemy wants us to be easily offended people. So we can't go through life like, oh, rude. Oh, I'm so, they're not thinking about me and me. Um, it's just, that's not going to get you anywhere. So you might have to let them go to their dinner, and maybe you'll never know why, or maybe they just thought you were busy or didn't want to, or who knows. But again, if it's like a constant thing where maybe it's like, okay, I gotta know
You're being
what's going
slighted.
on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And
Yeah.
yeah, what about you?
Well, and just so that people don't think that I coined that phrase, it's a very popular book right now by Mel Robbins, The Let Them Theory.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, has it happened to me? Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, there have been times when friends get together, or,
Mhm.
people from church, little groups.
Sure.
But I've also been on the other end where I have gone to a girls' trip and you're not going to take everybody,
Yeah.
but it happens organically. You guys are like, hey,
Mhm.
we should do this. And
Mhm.
you plan it. And then you think, I hope this doesn't hurt this other person.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
maybe I should have addressed it, but I never like
Yeah.
addressed it with,
Yeah.
somebody else. That could be helpful when you're on that end, to say, you know, we would have loved to have you, but it
Mhm.
just, I don't know. That
Yeah.
doesn't,
No, no, it makes sense.
I
I'm
don't
a
have a good
very
answer for that,
sensitive,
but
I'm a very sensitive person. So, like,
yeah,
I think I err on the side of sensitive of well, I hope I do. I don't know. It's hard because I think we go through our daily life, and I'm sure there are so many times where I have hurt my friends' feelings without even knowing it. And so again, back to that grace and forgiveness, like if you're going to expect this, expectation for someone in your friend in the friendship, are you like that perfect of a friend? Or I don't know, you got to
right.
be
Yeah.
careful of what we expect
Yeah.
because
Yeah. I know that I've hurt people, and yeah.
but her
They,
feelings are real. Like I don't want to diminish that because I
mhm.
have felt hurt in friendships, as I'm sure I've hurt people. And um
I think you
it's
can
not
feel it
easy.
and then
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a real feeling, and then go and then tell yourself the other side of it, which is, well, they probably just planned it when they
Mhm.
were at soccer, because they all do soccer together,
Yeah.
and it's not like they're trying to leave me out, but it
Yeah.
just didn't come up. But yeah,
No, for sure. Do you feel like you have built a community at this point in your life?
I feel like there is a little bit of growth in that area for sure. Things really fell apart after COVID, as they did for a lot of people.
Mhm.
So many people moved away, and
Mm.
things just scattered. And so I didn't feel as alone in the loneliness when that happened, because
Mm,
I
mhm.
had felt lonely before COVID, and then COVID happened, and then I wasn't the only one who was
Yeah.
without community.
Mhm.
So it made me feel better knowing that everyone's going through this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then we all kind of established our new normal. Like,
Mhm.
people started to um, build that back up. And so I think I was building that back up along with everybody else, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Mhm.
And so that's one aspect of it. But another aspect is that I really needed support in parenting and marriage,
Mm.
because I had done a lot of that on my own for
Mhm.
pride, and because of
Mm.
geographic location and all kinds of
Mhm.
reasons that we
Mhm.
don't have community. So I got to a point where I realized that I need to ask for help.
Mm.
And so that's when I, made sure that I had therapists that I was meeting
Mm.
with
Mhm.
regularly, and reached out to friends that I knew weren't going to judge me if I was
Mm.
real with them, and built those friendships. And so, and then also for us, not moving
Mm.
has been, because we would love to live somewhere that's not so rainy, but we
Mhm.
are
Mhm.
making a conscious decision to live, to build the community where we are,
Mm. Mhm.
because for our kids, because our kids have friendships that they've had since they were little, and so I want that for them. And then the longer you stay, the more connected you become. And so
Mhm.
for us, staying in place has been a part of that. And my kids going to the public school
Mm.
has helped me be connected in the local community,
Mhm.
because as homeschoolers, we're spread out.
Mhm.
And so it is hard to build that community. Like, you feel like church, you feel close when you're together,
Mhm.
but then sometimes it can be hard to do life together. So
Mhm.
having my girls in public school has really helped.
Mhm.
I feel a sense of community with the teachers. Like, just having somebody else care for your
Mm.
kid has made me feel so, I don't know, like, just cared for.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
know they're paid, but it was a feeling that I hadn't had
Yeah.
before, because I was doing it all on my own. But then letting somebody else help in that way and
Yeah.
care for them, that gave me a real sense of community.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
those different things,
I
different
think that's
pieces.
beautiful.
And I was gonna say, part of building the community has been letting go of my expectations,
Yeah.
kind of lowering the bar a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
That sounds
Do
negative,
I
but
lower your
no.
expectation with you? No, I'm kidding.
No,
Oh,
of
Madeline,
like,
she's stuttering.
yeah,
I'm
no.
kidding.
No, of like, really what I was thinking of is that my priority is my kids and my
Mm.
family,
Yeah.
and that takes so much of my emotional energy.
Yeah.
And so I have had to lower my expectations that I'm going to have this big network of friends, because we
Mm.
can't give each other the energy that we would have in the past.
Yeah.
And so lowering my expectations of like we're going to be all in each other's lives, but really I've got to give my family everything and they have to give their
Mhm.
family
Mhm.
everything too. And
Yeah.
so it's not a vote against me if they're busy with their family. It's just that they have to
Yeah.
prioritize their family.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, kind of coming back to like we do have like I don't know, like I was saying like friendships are so important, like pivotal. But God, our spouse, like we don't want to get out of balance where we're pouring more into our friendships than our marriage or our children, like cuz I think when things get hard, like if it's hard as a mom, like if I'm like, well, I feel like I'm sucking in this area, or like this is not fun right now being a parent. So I want to go over here
Yeah.
and be with friends.
Yeah.
And there's times for breaks, of
Yeah.
course, and doing that. But we can't distract ourselves from like we have to remain in these important things too and
Yeah.
pour into the things that God says like this is really really important. So don't
Yeah.
back out because it's getting hard and distract yourself by something else. But
That's very
I
wise.
don't know, that's a whole other topic.
So, speaking of wisdom, do you have any short mama wisdom for us?
Yeah, I wanted to read a little bit of John 15. Jesus talking about how he is the vine and we are the branches. And I just listened to a message on abiding and remaining in him. And I feel like it was kind of on my heart to talk about that. And also, like, the reminder that this kind of goes with what we were just saying, Jesus is the only thing that can truly satisfy us. We can have the best community, we can have the best marriage, even, or all these things. We can have the best house, the nicest cars, 10 children. But if we're not abiding in Him, if we're not remaining in Him and um, letting Him be where we get our source from, then we will never be satisfied with anything. And I'll read a little bit of it. Let's see. Verse 4 says, "Remain in me, and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it is served from the vine, and you cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me." And he goes on to say it multiple times, like, those who remain in me and I in them will produce much fruit. And for apart from me, you can do nothing. So just that reminder that he has to be our main source. A friendship can't be it. A therapist can't be it. He has to be our main source. And I think about like as I was pruning our apple trees the other day, and me and Scott and we're having to cut off, all these dead things, and this branch is going into this branch. So we choose which one has, looks better. And it's like to expect this tree to grow and to bloom without, pruning off the dead stuff. So then these branches can get the source it needs from that main vine. Am I saying all that right? The branches have to get their main source from the vine. There's pruning involved, and there's, so
The vine, as in like the trunk.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, um, I don't know, remaining as close to Jesus as possible. And in the message I listened to, it was really important too. She said, um, abiding is not something we do one time or even like one time a day of like, oh, we read our Bible, we abided in Christ, I'm good for the day. Like it's a constant abiding in Him and trusting in Him and remaining close to Him. And that doesn't mean we're literally in a corner in our Bible all day, but it's talking to Him. It's I don't know, that He's our main source. That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say. And
Yeah, because we will find ourselves in moments of isolation, but we always
mhm.
have God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And um, to be aware of, are we chasing things for satisfaction that only He can bring? I right now would love an updated, beautiful kitchen, and I don't have it. And but knowing a kitchen island, you know, a chickens in my front yard, whatever it may be that I'm longing for, will not satisfy me. I was thinking about it. Um, what some things are that I like will go to for satisfaction. So let's say I order some new clothes and I'm so excited to get the clothes, and they come and I got, like, it's a moment of joy and satisfaction, but then the clothes go in the closet and they sit there and it's less exciting in a few days,
You
right?
get a
Or
dopamine release, like, ooh,
yeah, yeah.
and then it's gone.
Or I love to put on a fake tan. I'll smother myself in this stuff so I look darker, and it's fun for a minute and I feel better and it's great, but it fades. Like I go back to my normal skin color. But Jesus is saying like he doesn't fade. He never, it's a constant source of peace and joy, and it's, but yet we often look to other things.
Thank you so much for joining us here today at Always Honest. Join us next time when we talk about the question, is it possible to raise grounded children in a culture that is so upside down? Until then, stay honest.
Bye. I think my bye has gotta change.